Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you have a lovely evening. I certainly did. How good was Erykah Badu? She was incredible. If you're just tuning in now, good morning to you, or good evening if you're coming in from the US. We had an incredible party yesterday. We had a talk with Matt Sudham, who was the drummer in Guns N' Roses with his wife Ace Harper, the fashion designer, all the way from their humble abode in the desert of Colorado, I believe it was. But this morning, we are very excited to welcome our fantastic guest, Dia Mirza, who won Miss Asia Pacific title in December the 3rd, 2000 in Manila. She's on the board of Coca-Cola Foundation, UN Environment's Goodwill Ambassador for India. She is the UN Secretary General's Advocate for the Sustainability Development Goals, the SDG. We've had a lot of focus and talk on that. We'll delve into that in just a moment. She's also won the Best Debut Newcomer in the Bollywood Movie Awards. Dia, good morning.
Thank you, Matt, for that introduction. I'm not sure whether it's updated.
But yeah, because there's so many more. I picked a few.
But happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from India, from Mumbai, and it's 11:38 a.m.
Okay, not too far ahead of us. I'm calling in from Oslo, and I'm quite curious to see how is the situation over there right now, given the corona crisis we're in.
It's tough. We're a developing nation. Our government has taken a very, very important bold step by locking down the country. The lockdown was has been initiated and has been extended now. We are going to be locked down till the 30th of April. Chances are it may be longer. There's been a lot of displacement. There have been huge problems, but the spirit, human spirit, is alive, and everybody is, working together to find solutions. The healthcare systems are working overtime. I mean, their personal sacrifices are unimaginable because it's a lot of people, and you can imagine how much it would take to just screen people, test people, make sure they're getting what they need. And I think one of the biggest challenges has also been to encourage people to stay home.
Yeah. And we've had the same issues here, especially in Norway. It's been quite good weather. I'm coming in from our studio in Oslo, Norway, and yeah, it's been nice weather here. And it's not often nice weather up in the north of Norway. So we've had to struggle to keep people out of parks and things like that. But I remember a conversation I had with someone very recently about India, and obviously social distancing is a lot easier when you live in nations that aren't as densely populated. Cities like Mumbai and Delhi and others around your country. People are so densely populated, house to house, many people living in those. So obviously, if a pandemic were to hit, that would be sort of catastrophic. Are there any measures being put in place to sort of protect the densely populated areas of the city, or?
So there are spaces, there are rooms that are inhabited by 7-8 people who come to live in the city, to work here. And these are called the shanties or the chawls. And I mean, you must have heard of Dharavi, which is perhaps one of the most populous places on the planet, where people live in very small areas and occupy very small rooms. Large families occupy very small rooms. The workforces occupy very small rooms. So it is tough, but I have to acknowledge how hard the civic bodies are working, the police are working to just contain this and keep people positive, and ensure that essentials are reaching them, food is reaching them. There are extraordinary stories of people who are obviously following the highest standards of safety and making food available to our daily wage workers, to the labor force, to everyone who's not getting access to essentials. So it's a very tough time for countries like India, and I think the only way we can hope to overcome this crisis is to stick together, work together, collaborate, and do the best that we can at an individual level every day. And I think that's what people are doing.
And obviously, we've seen that in this hackathon, this 48-hour hackathon, which ended yesterday. The teams, I think, were 507 teams submitted over 1,000 ideas. Those ideas are now sitting with our judges, who will decide the 3 best ideas per category. There's one of those categories which is very close to you in terms of your background experience working in the entertainment industry and production as well. I know you have a production company. One of the big questions has been, of course, healthcare, the financial markets, getting our economies rebooted once again after this. But what about the entertainment industry? Have you any ideas or any wishes for the where the entertainment industry will go after this? Because right now you and I are having an interview over a simple device. Actually, as I mentioned before, I'm sitting in a large studio here with millions of dollars worth of the cameras, but we're talking over a little device and a screen, and it's actually very perfectly clear. And we've been chatting just before this.
Isn't it amazing, Matt, how technology has made the world accessible to each other, especially at this time? I mean, people see solutions, but I think what my industry, the artists community, the film fraternity has done during this time is to use their platform, their voice, to engage with people, to educate people, to just uplift their spirit. And in this moment, with what we are going through in India, I think there has never been a bigger privilege than to be able to use our access to people through technology to just make a difference every day. In the future, I think the optimist in me, the hopeful person in me who has been now for about 10, 15 years engaging with my fraternity and encouraging how we can adopt sustainable ways of producing, of production, building the narrative of sustainability into our visuals. And it doesn't have to be films that are solely representative of a specific environmental theme, but it's also about little things that we can do, replacing visuals that otherwise would have shown single-use plastics with more sustainable materials, showing characters or tracks in narratives that help people understand our connection with nature, our interdependence with the environment, how health and environment are linked with each other. And I think that more and more people in India now are weaving these ideas and this understanding into narratives, and I hope to be able to continue with that and really encourage more people to understand that we're a part of nature, not apart from it. And even though we live in urban societies, our aspiration to well-being or success or growth cannot be separate from our understanding that we're deeply linked with the earth.
I love that narrative you said there. We are part of nature, not apart from it. I had a conversation with a movie-making friend of mine just recently, and I said, "Oh God, our industry. I've personally lost a lot of business going forward, hosting event shows and things like that, and as well as he has." And I said, "How will we come back from this?" And he said, "Are you kidding me? After Corona, I've already received 2 scripts and 4 movies that want to go ahead about the crisis and things like that." So
I think it's going to inspire a lot of stories, as it
is.
It's natural to, right? I mean, it's absolutely impossible to think how artists will not be inspired to tell stories, because that's the only way we know how to live, right? We tell stories, and this pandemic is going to really, I think, bring out the most incredible stories from whether it's musicians or singers or songwriters or filmmakers or artists. I think it's going to inspire a lot of creativity.
I think you're right. And exactly. And I think it's very much a case that everyone is facing the same issues. You know, we had conversations with, you know, yourself, you're an award winner and very successful in your career to date and will continue to do so. But you're facing the same problems that I am. This is something that doesn't happen too often. We had, you know, the drummer from Guns N' Roses last night who's self-quarantining with his wife, and they had all their shows cancelled. Erykah Badu as well, and they just got together. And Erykah Badu joined the Global Hack, and she's a very successful recording artist with you know, hundreds of thousands of records sold globally, millions even, and she's joined the Global Hack. She's sitting there in the Slack stream. You wouldn't, unless you really knew the name, you wouldn't know. You'd be like, oh, hi, can you do something for me, please? And she'd be like, yeah, no problem. What do you need? So I think it's lowered the bar to accessibility globally. And you made an interesting point earlier, Dia, about the SDG goals, because these are very much been put at the core of what we're doing with the Global Hack. The 10 tracks that are of verticals, basically industries, healthcare, of course, financial technologies, education, etc., arts and entertainment. These have been put at the core of the areas that need to be innovated in for us today. Tell me a little bit more about your role in the UN and your role in the Global Hack and going forward.
Well, I mean, as an advocate for the Sustainable Development Goals and as an ambassador for UNEP, the two simple things that I think we hope to be able to convey, and it's not very simple because we've been working very hard at it for a very long time, but not everybody listens. Hopefully now people will listen. That the roadmap for our future, overcome this crisis and to build the world that is more equal, is to use the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement and understand the linkages between environmental health and human health. And the most swiftly industry, policymakers, governments, civil society understand this, the better for all of us. And I think a very big part that we will continue to play as advocates will be to just find unique, creative, engaging, wonderful, optimistic, positive, possibly even angry ways to reiterate this, because, you know, Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action, for me has always been center and most important, because at a basic human level, as somebody who was born and brought up in a developing nation, who has witnessed, I witness contradiction, disparity every day. And as artists, we are empathetic creatures. You know, we respond to it from a very deep place in our hearts. And I can't quite imagine how we can hope for an equal, fair, just, balanced world if we do not collectively recognize that climate action is key to all sustainable development.
Thank you, Dia. One running trend I've heard is, obviously Corona came along, everyone forgot about, you know, it was what climate action's been waiting for so long, was someone to shake things up and takes climate change seriously on a global standpoint. Do you think Corona and the times we've gone through right now will either accelerate our acknowledgement and action towards reducing climate change, or will it delay that because we're sort of hung up and dealing with getting our economy back together? Do you have any idea which way we're going to go?
It's a tough question to answer, man, especially when you are in the middle of the crisis in a country like India. But the optimist in me is very, very hopeful that while we struggle to build lives again and, you know, get food to people, get employment, make sure that people are employed again, we get support from the countries that can support us, not just economically, but also in spirit. where we can really understand that now's the time perhaps to reset the way forward, you know. If and India, interestingly, for thousands of years has understood um, the role that nature and environment plays in sustaining life and bringing balance. I mean, we worship nature. We have
Very
the
true.
sun god. We worship rivers. We worship trees. There is no element, no natural element that we have not worshipped or believed in. Um, but I think there is a capitalist economy and an economy that has been built bereft of conscience. That yes, that really needs to be questioned, and our consumerism or our patterns of consumption and how we live life has to be questioned. And I think for the most part, those who are understanding this are making very strong resolutions at home, you know, at an individual level. And I think that in some ways may change the way industries work. You know, maybe more people will recognize that we have to stop spewing affluents into rivers, that we have to change the way we do business, that, you know, yeah, the optimist in me is very, very hopeful. And I really do hope that India and other developing nations will find the support globally, but also will be able to, from this experience, understand now more than ever before that we cannot continue to degrade our environment. We cannot continue to, um, you know, destroy our ecosystems, our natural habitats, our wildlife. We need to find a way to protect, secure all of that as we continue to develop as people. And development is not always necessarily urbanization.
That's a very key point you make. I've also heard many of our track leaders in that environmental track speaking of, because we're slowing down and in some cases having to rebuild, putting sustainability development goals at the core of everything that we're doing gives us that opportunity to, I gave an example earlier this week about the classic example we give in the tech industry is when you're, the metaphorical example of a train on the train tracks. And a train moving on a train tracks in the tech world or in the business world, often you're sort of putting each track in front of you at each time. Not much thought is going into which track you're laying in front of you. But we've had this global slowdown of the train being our globalization, our industrialization, you name it. And it gives us a chance to hold on a minute, what tracks are we putting down? Let's think, we can put 3 ahead. So I hope that organizations such as this Global Hack and further, because there have been many across India, I believe, as well, contributing to both this Global Hack, but also previous ones as well in the last few weeks, can take some of that narrative. And there was a question that just came into the comments just a second ago about, do you find it difficult to promote sustainability in India at its growth rate today? Are you struggling, or are there any tips and tricks you can give us?
It is a struggle because there is a narrative that has been built over a period of time that has encouraged people to believe that there is the idea of well-being is much more than the simple good life that we as Indians, as one of the oldest civilizations in the world, had long understood and kind of lived with. I think what encourages me right now and is the voices of young people across the globe and especially in India. How and young, when I say young, I mean starting age 5 all the way to 80. People who have kept their spirit of curiosity alive, who believe in finding creative solutions, who are not just questioning the way we are, making progress, but are also finding incredible and extraordinary solutions every day. The kind of startups, the kind of companies, the kind of work that is happening in India across the country to change the narrative, to shift the narrative, to, I mean, technology has been used so well, even during this time. And I do believe that we will continue to do this. And I'm really, really hopeful that the Sustainable Development Goals will reach far and wide, and more people will be inspired by the young people who are, helping more people understand what these goals are and why they are important through personal action and through choices they're making every day. I mean, that's what
that's
I
the
want
point.
to
Is
do.
personal action, right? That's
There's
the
no
key.
other way but to learn ourselves and make changes in our own life and then hopefully inspire more people to do it.
That was very inspiring, dear. Is there anything you'd like to say to our teams? They submitted their proposals, and this afternoon at 3 p.m. Central European time, we will be announcing the winner. Is there any message you would like to send to the teams or anyone who's taking part in the Global Hack?
I just want to say that we are a part of history, a kind of history that I don't think any of us would have imagined ourselves to be a part of. It's been such a challenge, but I think what each one of you does in your own unique way is to give hope and to remind everyone that we are one people, one planet, we are a family, and we can be connected and make a difference as we go forward.
Yeah, that was beautifully put. Thank you so much. On behalf of the entire Global Hack team, really appreciate you taking the time this morning. And I just want to finish to everyone at home with one comment that Dia made, which is just beautiful. We are part of nature, not apart from nature. So let's go forward and think in that way and do as we can. Dia, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, Matt. You're wonderful. And I know you've been doing this non-stop, and I wish you all the best. May you have a wonderful finale to this wonderful Global Hack, and to all the team members of Global Hack. Thank you for making the difference that you do.
Thank you very much, Dia. All the way from Mumbai, India. Dear, have a wonderful day and enjoy the show later. A reminder to everyone, and you at home, you lucky few, we're going to have an incredible live show this afternoon for you. At about midday this afternoon, European time, we will start to release the 30 finalists. These are the 30 companies, 3 from the 10 tracks, so 3 from each track, who have been selected as the runners-up. And then we will have the show at 3 p.m. Central European time. I believe that's 4 p.m. Estonian time. 8 p.m. in Asia. It's 8 a.m. in East Coast US as well. So many time zones to consider, dear. So many time zones. But you do not want to miss this. This is the Easter Sunday entertainment. Get your family involved. It's family friendly. It's kid friendly. Get them on the sofa. Tune in, and we guarantee you an incredible show. Dear, once again, thank you so much from all of us. Have a lovely day and enjoy the show this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you soon.